Welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about New Year's resolutions and rituals, and we're going to talk about how to embrace the new year, combining our masculine and feminine aspects and feeling empowered, talking about goals and rituals and resolutions, and really embracing the new year from a place of honoring ourselves and our family and the planet, and moving forward with some great ideas and letting go of fears and limitations that might be creating blocks and holding us back in our lives. So this video is going to be the first of a 3 series. I'm going to talk about rituals and resolutions as resolutions in our lives, and how important these are to embrace, and how important it is to embrace goals from a perspective of a be goal, a do goal, and have goal. So what we want to do and be and have. And also embracing the masculine and feminine aspects. So the feminine being more vision boarding, and the masculine being more of creating a calendar and going through and planning and moving forward and focusing. So the second video is going to be more about talking about the preparation of creating a vision board. And then the third is going to be actually sitting down and just relaxing into it and creating the vision board. So I wanted to do this in 3 parts, so that if you want to get the educational background aspect, you can watch this one. If you want to understand how to prepare, so physically, spiritually, mentally, for creating a really empowering vision board that works, you can watch the second one. And if you feel like you need guidance and maybe just some encouragement on the actual sitting down part, sometimes we can have like what could be felt like a writer's block, where we're creating a vision board and then suddenly we can't figure out what to do or where to go with it. So if you feel like you need guidance with that, you can watch the third one. And so wherever you're at in your process, I'm wishing you all the best. So let's begin. So the first part that I want to talk about in this first video is how important it is to embrace New Year's resolutions. So I grew up in a family where as a young child, my parents would have a very formal mealtime, especially during the holidays, and we would sit around. And one of the things that they liked to do was do New Year's resolutions. And we would do this every year. We would sit in a formal dining room, and my aunts and uncles and grandparents would all be sitting around the table together. And we would all go around and we would say what our New Year's resolutions were for the next coming year. And so when I tell this story, it makes me start to giggle, because I remember being a kid and having the awareness and the consciousness that I was a kid, and so that there were things that I knew, and there was also things that I didn't understand and that maybe I didn't know. And I remember sitting there, as I grew older, and thinking to myself, okay, so I'm sitting here and I'm a kid, and I'm pretty sure that this is the same resolution that you said last year and the year before, and maybe for the last 4 or 5 years, and I really feel like nothing's changed with that. And so I remember thinking that and being like, this is sure a weird custom, but when you're a child, you have this kind of box or file or folder where the things that adults do that you don't quite understand, you kind of take all those experiences and put it there, right? So that's what I did. I was like, I don't understand this. It sure seems pretty kooky to me. I'm just gonna put that in this box. And then the next year it was the same thing. My mother and my father would say the same thing every year, and nothing would change. So they wouldn't really move forward, and loving them, and credit to them for doing their best to take the first step. So using that as an example, what we want to do is we want to use some tools and practices that will help us get to the next step. And they didn't, for whatever reason, have the consciousness or the tools or the guidance in their lives to get there. And we do now, so we can do that together. So what we want to do is we want to really make sure that we are getting into our heart and staying out of our mind. And so that brings us to the rituals part. So if you don't know a lot about rituals, or you haven't, brought any rituals into your life, I encourage you to go and do your own discovery on what rituals are and what they mean to you and what they mean to other cultures, because they've been around since us humans have been around, and they're very powerful. So the way to use a ritual is, it's an act, it's something that we do repeatedly over time, where our intention is placed on the simple act of doing the ritual, so not on the result. So that's a very, very powerful thing to remember, and it's not something that we embrace in our culture a lot, and that we don't have a lot of rituals as much as other cultures. So it's more in the act of doing it and being present and moving through whatever the motions are, and less on the result that happens. So we're going to use this ritual of a New Year's resolution to help us get into our heart. So usually we're in our mind and we're thinking and planning, and that's important. But for this practice, where we really want to get into our subconscious, our unconscious, where our goals are, like where our soul really is, we need to get out of our mind and come into our heart. And so that's why rituals are important. So the New Year's ritual is simply, very, very simple. Every year it's the new year. You just say, okay, it's the new year. I'm going to do these certain practices, and then you just do them every year. So this is a ritual that I like to do every year with my family. I found to be very powerful, and that's why I wanted to share it with you all. So this is the ritual that we're going to do for this new year. So the ritual of the resolution, I want you to think about the word resolution as a re-solution. So R-E and then dash solution. So a resolution is just simply a re-solution. So what you're doing is that you're just reflecting from your heart space, trying to stay out of the thinky mind. You just want to reflect on what were the things that were working this last year, and what were some of the things that were not working this past year, and what are the things that I'd like to change, and how do I want to move forward? What do I want for myself, what do I want to do for myself, and who do I want to be, who do I want to become this next year? And so you just simply, do a practice where you're going to sit down and relax and just brainstorm on this kind of thing. Just get out your journal pad and just write on it, or you can just chat with a friend or a loved one, some of these ideas. So you're just kind of throwing them around. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use two parts. So I have found it very powerful to embrace both the masculine and the feminine side, and then discovering if you're leading more with your masculine or you're leading more with your feminine in your life. So I'm leading more with my feminine, so I'm really excited about the vision boarding, which is more of a feminine activity. It's being very open to receive the messages that are coming from our soul. And in the third video, a little bit on the second video, we'll talk about that, but more on the third video, you'll see why that's more of a feminine practice and aspect. So the masculine side of this, with the rituals and resolutions, is more about having a focus, something that you want to really like a pinpoint, and then moving forward in your life. So I've included some photos and examples of how I've done that, and that is simply wherever you find this video, you'll find there's going to be some photos of examples of a wall calendar that's a 12-year wall calendar. And so what you do is you just sit down with your family, or yourself or your coworkers, or however you want to bring this into your life, and you're just going to brainstorm. So it's actually, it can be really fun. So I know it sounds serious, but it can also be really fun. So you want to just kind of brainstorm, like, what are some things that I want to do in my life? What are some things I want to do in my life? And just kind of like, where would those fall in the 12-year calendar? So say, you want to go skiing. Well, obviously that's going to fall in the winter months. So you just kind of write it down at the top of the calendar. You know, I'm hoping to get a raise in my job. Like, I have that as a goal. Well, okay, so about when do you think that would happen? You know, or when would you like it to happen? And then again, brainstorming and focusing on the like, who do I want to become? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do? And what do I want to have? So you can move those into the categories, and that will help you kind of brainstorm and organize it that way. So that's a really fun thing to do. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that today because we're really doing the vision boarding, but I wanted you to know that those go hand in hand. So when you are taking a 12-month calendar and you're allowing yourself to brainstorm and come up with these ideas, it's actually setting the foundation for the vision boarding. So when you do that, it will help the vision board go more deeply and more fully because you've spent a little bit more time, right? Just like anything, you know. So you want to spend time with this, you want to allow it to come up, you know, you can put it down, come back to it, you know, don't procrastinate with this stuff or create limitations, but you know, do address it and make it fun. And so that's exciting. So this is the first video, and we are going to move on to the second one. Much love.